Hey folks, my name is Mo Amir and this is VANCOLOUR, British Columbia's bona fide culture and politics TV talk show. Lots to cover tonight as rents soften and home prices grind down across the province. Is buying a home in BC even worth it? Plus, self-driving cars are no longer the future. They're here. Well, in the United States, China, Dubai, Germany, and France, with limited pilot projects in Toronto and Calgary. So what needs to change to bring the robot chauffeurs to BC? But first, 30% of us have at least one person in our life that just drains our battery, like a pushy colleague or that miserable in-law. Well, science has proven that hasslers, people who make your life difficult, can literally shorten your life. They increase cortisol levels, inflammation, and symptoms of anxiety and depression while weakening your immune system. That biological toll has detrimental effects on your cardiovascular health and your lifespan. And every hassler in your life will speed up your aging by about 9 months. Family members are usually the worst hasslers, except spouses who don't have the same effect. Here to discuss this newfound knowledge, a BC broadcasting legend and my friend, Tamara Taggart, and this is Tea Time with Tamara. So Tamara, is cutting people out of your life now preventative healthcare?
I think so.
Right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've always thought that, but I had no idea there was actual science behind it.
It's proven, it's science. Who is aging you? Who is the big hassler in your life?
Oh, how long do we have? No, how long? Do we have an hour show here? Do we have a 2-hour show? Is this a documentary? Really?
So you have a whole list of people.
Well, okay, first of all, I worked in broadcast media for my entire career.
Sure.
It is filled with hasslers. Like really, at every single level, right? And then I think as an advocate, that's even more because you're trying to advocate for people who are being hassled.
Right.
Right? So they're being hassled usually by the government.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting because I've never really thought about it like that, but totally. You know, I can see how in-laws, former friends, relatives for sure. Maybe you have teachers that are like that. It could be anybody.
Yeah.
And I think up until a certain point in your life, you might think it's normal, like, oh, this is just the way some people are. But there's science that says it's shortening our life.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's so stressful.
All that mental stress leads to physiological stress, which leads to literal chronic disease.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. And so you probably wonder, why do I feel so crappy?
Yeah.
And it's because you have crappy people in your life. Why are you laughing?
You got to cut them out. You got to cut them out.
You have to get rid of these people, but some people you can't get rid of.
Yeah.
Like you can't really get rid of family, can you?
No. Did you find it interesting that there is this weird exception for spouses? Like I feel like a lot of people would say, oh, my spouse is a source of stress, but
No.
you know, spouses actually despite, you know, the workings of a relationship don't add to your
Well, no, because
stress in that sense.
You would hope that we
well.
all don't pick the right people always, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so I can see how I can see that if you're married and because hopefully you would get rid of that spouse if they were causing you that much pain and suffering really in your own life. Like if you're living with the hassler, you really got to get rid of the hassler.
But they said kids could be the hassler.
Well, yeah, but I think that maybe is temporary,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
Because kids are different because they go through their own developmental stages. And sometimes they're really easy and sometimes they're maybe not so easy. But it's a phase, I guess, right? We grow out of that. We learn as we're parenting and we learn as we're children.
Yeah.
But your spouse, I can see if you're still married and you've worked through that and you've hopefully chosen well. And a lot of people leave marriages because they're married to a hassler. I'm going to call people hasslers now. You're just a hassler.
Yeah, it's perfect.
You're just a hassler. It's science.
And I will say they say that, you know, a healthy relationship actually adds, you know, to your life and to your mental health and physical health. In terms of stress, though, do you feel it's worse Do you think a hassler is worse if they're passive aggressive
Oh.
or if they're directly, combative? What's worse for your mental health, do you think?
Oh boy, it's like apples and oranges, isn't it really? I can't stand passive aggressive people. Like just say it right. Because it's so manipulative to be passive aggressive. You're talking behind people's backs. You're saying things to them that you don't really mean. You're being backhanded with compliments. You're trying to drive wedges between people, I think, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just like full on aggressive, I mean, I think you can be direct and honest without being a hassler.
I think with full on direct combativeness, you can process it very easily.
Yeah. And you could go, I don't like this, I'm out. Yeah.
Whereas with passive aggressiveness, you're almost interpreting things and you almost gaslight yourself of, am I crazy?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And I do think you're right. Passive aggressive is more dangerous because you do think you're crazy. You're like, why is this happening? What is this person doing? I thought you were my friend. Why are you saying this to me? Yeah.
Are we also realizing that perhaps being too nice is bad for our health by being too tolerant of the hasslers in our life is actually not a great strategy to navigate through these social relationships?
Clearly, the science is telling us that we can't, it's not good to be too nice to hasslers because they're actually bad for our health. I mean, it said it can shorten your life by 9 months.
They speed up your aging by 9 months. Okay. Yes. There's apparently a slightly difference.
Like physically? Or
I think so. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
They're putting more frowns and wrinkles on our faces.
Exactly.
But also bad for our physical health too.
Of course, yeah. Bad for cardiovascular health.
And I would think too, like you think about the sleep that you lose, right? When you have somebody in your life who is always hassling you, or you don't know what they're going to do next, or they're being passive aggressive and you don't know what you did wrong to deserve this. I think one of the worst things is when you try to talk to somebody about something and they just never answer your call.
Yeah.
It's the worst passive aggressive because you're like, you don't even know you did anything wrong.
Yeah.
So you're phoning your friend, you're phoning your friend, you're phoning your friend or your family member, whoever, and they just never pick up the phone and you never hear from them again. And you don't know what you did.
Yeah.
That is really, I think that's really bad.
Do you ever worry that now you might be a hassler in someone's life?
Oh, brother. Do I worry about it?
After reading this research, do you go, oh my God, am I aging someone?
I'm sure I have aged a lot of people. That's an interesting question. I don't think so now, although somebody's probably watching this going, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the older we get, the better we are at filtering out the hasslers in our life.
Absolutely.
I think, right?
Yeah.
And I wish I knew, in my 20s what I know now, but that's not really the way it works. And you have to kind of live through some pretty bad relationships and some bad friendships before you realize what is actually good.
Yeah.
And good for you.
And if I'm hassling someone, I hope they just cut me out because I would want to do the same. Right?
Yeah, I would too. I'm not going to cut you out though. Don't worry. You're not one of my hasslers.
I'm not one of your hasslers?
You're not.
Well, Tamara, that puts me at ease. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Okay.
Folks, that was broadcasting legend Tamara Taggart. And remember, eat your vegetables, exercise, and block that one person out of your life. It is good for you. Now, after some business, if you're a first-time home buyer, is now the time to jump in, or is buying in BC just not worth it anymore? Real estate analyst Steve Soretsky will talk about it up next.